Now at 6, we just passed the peak of hurricane season. I'm tracking the tropics and monitoring Hurricane Fiona.
And more than 1 million people are in the dark after Hurricane Fiona dumped historic levels of rain on the island. How people here in Houston are gearing up to help.
Plus, a homecoming after party with hundreds of teens ends in gunfire, leaving 3 people hurt. The latest response from deputies and KDISD.
And later, a lead turns into a loss for the Texans. We're breaking down yesterday's game against the Broncos.
KHOU 11 Morning News starts now.
Good Monday morning, Houston. Thank you so much for joining us online.
I'm Dave Freilich here with Kimberly and Steph.
All right, we are approaching 6:01. Cheetah Craft and Jennifer Reyna are here to kick off weather and traffic on the ones. Jen, we're going to start with you.
Good to see you, but bad news in traffic. We have several major problems working, and I have quite a few pictures to show you exactly what we're talking about. I-10 Katy Freeway still have that outbound deadly crash at Washington working. All of the lanes are shut down inbound. I hear that they could be reopening sometime soon. This did happen around 2:30 a.m. We do have a ground shot for you showing you the amount of congestion where traffic is forced off of the highway utilizing Washington Avenue headed out toward Hempstead Highway. That's option number 1, or you can take Memorial Drive. Either way, you'll need about 10 extra minutes just to make your way through the alternate routes. Now the backup, it's pretty intense as well. Now stretching for a couple of exits. You can see there at TC Jester, you don't want to be caught in that. So exit as early as possible, or maybe you can take 59, the Southwest Freeway, to access the west side of town. We have a couple problems on the east side. 225 outbound just before you get to the Beltway. A crash blocks a lane, and it looks like we're backed up for at least 2 miles. I-10 East Freeway headed out toward Lynchburg. We have a crash working, and so a couple of pictures to show you on those particular corridors. Looking at this one right here, eastbound at Thompson, where almost all lanes right now are temporarily shut down. So the only thing available is the feeder road. And then looking at 225 at Preston, looks like multiple lanes are shut down as well. Cheetah Craft has the latest with our look at weather. How are you doing,
Not
Cheetah?
look good. Weather-wise, we're actually really calm this week. So this morning we are waking up dry. All of your roadways are dry this morning. You have a 10, max 20% chance for a stray shower, an isolated thunderstorm, mainly for your afternoon. All of this moisture, well, it's staying offshore at this point, but I do think a few of these little streamer showers will pop in later today. So temperatures overall in the 70s this morning. It's going to be a very warm, humid week ahead. So mid to upper 70s this morning, quickly building to the 80s and then 90s later today. Let's talk about the pollen. It was so bad last week. It's still pretty bad. Your ragweed levels still at heavy levels. Moderate there with your mold, grass, and your tree pollen. But again, it's that ragweed that's still really high. Temperatures today should top out in the mid to low 90s. Notice there's that 10-20% chance of an isolated shower, an isolated thunderstorm. Just in about 10 minutes, guys, I'm going to show you the latest track with Hurricane Fiona as it continues to move north. I'll send it over to you.
Cheetah, thank you. This morning, Puerto Rico is seeing catastrophic flooding following the landfall of Hurricane Fiona.
As you just heard, historic levels of rain were dumped on the island, and now more than 1 million people are without power. That Category 1 storm hit yesterday afternoon. It did cause an island-wide blackout. Luma Energy says it could take days to fully restore power. Floodwaters even swept away a bridge that was built just 5 years ago.
Tomorrow marks 5 years since Hurricane Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico as a powerful Category 4 hurricane. Nearly 3,000 people died in the 6 months following that storm. A lack of electricity is believed to be what caused many of those deaths.
Houston is home to a large population of Puerto Ricans, and many still have family on the island. Zach Tawatari spoke with some Houstonians who are in Puerto Rico right now, helping with the relief effort.
In her southeast Puerto Rican grocery store,
in the island, it's Yaucono. This is your abuelita's traditional coffee.
Christina Carrion has the kind of products that remind her.
Because you're bringing like a little piece of home to your home or apartment here in the States.
She moved to Houston from Puerto Rico 7 years ago, and right now with the majority of her family still on the island.
It's been very nerve-wracking, so we've been tracking it as well with them, just asking how they are.
She says her social media feed is overtaken.
It reminds me a lot of when Maria hit.
Videos and pictures of Hurricane Fiona turning roads into rivers.
You know, because we know that they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle a lot, like things are not going to be the same in a while for them.
In Puerto Rico, Pastor Angelica Ortega is part of the nonprofit National Association of Christian Churches.
We were pretty much just checking up on a lot of the area that we know closely.
She and her husband, Pastor Jose Ortega, were out in the middle of the storm, giving us a first-hand look after they say just an hour or so before, the eye had passed through their area.
The flash flooding, and there's no power. So I think the flooding is probably the worst.
And tonight, as she waits anxiously,
It brings a lot of emotions to know, that you're not able to help in any way.
Christina prays that as Fiona leaves, help will arrive.
We're not going to make a solution out of a hashtag. They are actually going to need help out there.
All right, Zach Tawatari, thank you. Remember, you can stay prepared for any storm that heads our way with our Hurricane Preparedness Guide. Use the QR code on your screen or go to khou.com/hurricane to download a copy.
Well, this morning we're working to learn more about a shooting at a house party that left 3 people hurt. Harris County investigators say it was part of an illicit homecoming after party at Puerto High School. Ugochi Iloka is live at Puerto High and Katy ISD this morning with the latest from district officials. Morning, Ugochi.
Hey, good morning, Dave. In a new statement received last night, Katy ISD says no students enrolled with the district lives at the residence currently under investigation. The district also went on to say that no students have been identified as a part of the group of people who rented out that property for the party. However, the Harris County Sheriff says that the house party where shots were fired was pitched as a Puerto High School homecoming after party online. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez says it was marketed on social media, which really resulted in teens from surrounding schools showing up to the home on Bridge Meadows Lane. Now, there were reportedly several hundred kids there when a fight broke out between 2 groups. The sheriff says that's when someone started shooting. 3 older teenage boys, ages 17, 18, and 18, were shot, but thankfully expected to live. On Sunday, we spoke to the property owner.
I said, is there any dead person in the house? They said, no, nobody died. Then I said, glory be to God.
Yeah, you heard it there. The property owner also tells us that his listing for Airbnb was recently removed. So the property on the website there, that's his, was removed. But he said he went ahead and did a private transaction with someone who reached out to him personally after seeing a previous ad. Now, we did reach out to Airbnb to get more information about why his previous listing was removed before the party, but we're still waiting to hear back. Kimberly?
Ugochi Iloka, live for us this morning. Thank you. Also this morning at 6:08, New York City is considering legal action to stop Governor Abbott from sending buses of migrants to the city. It comes after another round of buses arrived in New York Sunday. Governor Abbott says the state has moved more than 2,500 people to New York City since August 5th. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is calling for people to get together to address the current immigration situation.
We should be clear that this is, as it stated, a humanitarian crisis created by human hands.
Meanwhile, the candidates for Texas Governor Beto O'Rourke and Greg Abbott have been looking to gain support from the Asian American community. Asians for Beto launched in Houston. The project hopes to empower the AAPI community, focusing on concerns like immigrant rights, healthcare access, abortion rights, gun safety, and climate change. Meantime, Governor Abbott was honored in Houston's Chinatown Friday. He was named the Texas Asian Republican Assembly's Statesman of the Year.
I'm Anayeli Ruiz. Local musicians coming together to raise money for Ukrainian refugees. This was part of the Candlelight Series benefit concert. All of the money raised is going to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. The objective here was to raise money for Ukrainian citizens who are affected by the war.
The feeling of helplessness was really potent, and as musicians, we don't have a lot of money. We don't know what to do other than do what we love.
This morning, things at Hobby Airport are back to normal, but for several hours this weekend, flights were delayed, some even canceled, all because of a small fire. Officials say one of the airport's generators caught fire, and that knocked out power to the air traffic control tower. Southwest Airlines says the outage resulted in a handful of cancellations and delays.
The Astros put 11 runs on the board against the A's, topping Oakland 11-2. Martin Maldonado went 4 for 4, including this 3-run homer in the 7th. But Framber Valdez was the star of the day, setting a new Major League record for quality starts. He pitched 6 innings, allowing just 2 runs while striking out 7. It was his 25th quality start in a row.
Well, after leading a good chunk of the game, the Texans ultimately weren't able to get the win yesterday in Denver.
Yeah, they lost to the Denver Broncos with the score ending at 16-9.
Here's Jason Bristol and Seth Payne with their big takeaways from the ballgame.
It is a loss for the Houston Texans on Sunday. It was an interesting game, Seth. So what is your one big takeaway from what you saw in Denver?
My big takeaway is that Davis Mills needs to get it going and get it going soon. I think the Texans might be competitive enough at this point that the quarterback is the one thing that's deciding whether they can push over the edge and win some games or regress and lose some games. It's not a great roster, but they can be competitive. They just need better quarterback play. If he keeps turning in performances like this, it'll be time for a new quarterback next year.
Ooh, that's not good to hear. My one big takeaway is not a great big takeaway. It's simply this, that I think the defense is going to be okay, but this offense has to do something or it will be a very long season, as many of us expected.
Yeah, I think that the rushing offense made progress this week. I think the pass protection did too. It's just that their errors are egregious errors, the kind that get internal organs of quarterbacks bruised. So that's not going to help Davis Mills out either. They need to get some of these mental errors, some of the miscommunications cleaned up. But I think you're right about the defense.
And that is our one big takeaway from the Texans' loss in Denver.
Oh, it was such a bummer. All right, let's talk about some of these rain chances. Now, they're going to be few and far between, but at least they're there today and tomorrow, because once you take the rain chances out, it's really going to crank up the heat Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Today, about a 20% chance of an isolated shower. Tomorrow, about a 10% chance for that stray shower. And then again, potentially record-breaking heat. We are going to challenge these records Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So notice Wednesday, our record high temperature is 100, forecasting a high of 97. Potentially Thursday for the first official day of fall. It's our vernal equinox. We could be pushing temperatures into the triple digits. So a very hot week ahead. Temperatures in the upper 90s. Some of our feels like temperatures will be above the triple digit mark. On the radar this morning, we're dry. We're dry all across the board here. We do have some moisture offshore. That's basically what could trickle onshore. Now I'm going to take you into Puerto Rico. This is the radar that I'm watching. Notice all the rain just continuing to slam Puerto Rico. This is Hurricane Fiona. And as I show you the latest track from the National Hurricane Center, it's a Category 1 now. Even as it moves northward, because it's going to remain in the open waters of the Atlantic, there's going to be a lot of fuel, a lot of energy to continue to see some development here into a major hurricane. That's a Category 3 or higher. That could happen as early as late Tuesday night or maybe by Wednesday morning. That's when we'll be dealing with a major hurricane. With that being said, we're expecting this to stay east of the East Coast. And the reason we've got this big upper area of high pressure, and that because of its clockwise flow, it's basically going to take a hold of Fiona and start to hang eastward by about Wednesday into Thursday. Now we're tracking a very big area of high pressure. This heat dome is going to park almost right over the state of Texas Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and potentially even through the upcoming weekend. And that's where the potential of those record challenging temperatures will happen. Today, 1 o'clock, there's the 10% chance, maybe a 20% chance, Jen, of a stray shower. Otherwise, it's all about the heat. I'll send it over to you.
We have big bad crashes, Cheetah, and these are major issues. Almost every single highway that I'm about to talk about is completely shut down, including I-10, the Katy Freeway. We were hearing rumors that they were going to reopen after a deadly crash. They have not reopened the highway just yet. Outbound at Washington, still some very severe delays. If you're leaving Heights, count on taking Memorial Drive or work your way to Hempstead Highway. But looking at the amount of traffic that I'm seeing, huge delays on I-10, the Katy Freeway. You don't want to be stuck in that. 59, the Southwest Freeway, is also another great alternate route, or the 610 loop. Either way, you will need the extra time. A wreck on the East Freeway outbound at Wade involves an overturned vehicle, so we're seeing about a 1.5 mile backup. 225 is pretty ugly outbound right before the Beltway at Preston. Multiple lanes blocked. We're backed up almost back to Ritchie Road. We'll show you what it looks like at Thompson. Even the feeder road is impacted. This is the East Freeway where we have a lot of truckers that head out toward Winnie, the Beaumont area. So boy, what a messy situation. And 225 here, Preston, almost all lanes are blocked as well. Christina Cruz, we have those outbound drive times. They are severe.
Yeah, what a way to start off our Monday. So if you are heading outbound towards Cinco Ranch, I-10 the KD freeway, you're looking at 61 minutes. It just keeps going up from downtown out to the Grand Parkway. Highway 225, making your way towards Deer Park from the South Loop to 146. You're almost at 40 minutes because of that wreck on 225 outbound. Now, we do see slows on the East Tex Freeway southbound between I-10 and 45. Also on the Southwest Freeway northbound from Fountain View to the West Loop. If you're making your way inbound, though, from the Woodlands, almost 40 minutes now from 242 into town. Back to you, Jen.
Yeah, and that hour drive time was out toward Baytown on the I-10 corridor. So please give yourself plenty of time. Over to you guys.
Jen, thanks. We'll be back with more local news, weather, and traffic in about 15 minutes right here on KHOU.com.
And a reminder, if you'd like to watch full coverage of Queen Elizabeth's state funeral, you can turn on KHOU at 11.
We'll see you back here at 6:30.